It's been a nightmare since I arrived. Now, let me break it down to you how everything went bad. Something's off about this guy. I'm looking at him. He's got a tattoo on his wrist. I think he had another one on his hand. He's got one on his neck. They say don't judge a book by a cover, but sometimes the cover will tell you some things, right? I came to Cape Verde with an open mind and all the best intentions.
Focus, man.
What's happening, guys? First off, I want to say I did not want to have to make this video. I came to Cape Verde with an open mind and all the best intentions.
Hit that like button. I'm putting in work out here. I swear to y'all, I'm putting in work.
I wanted to show the world a place that almost no one visits, especially in the English-speaking world, especially the islands that I went to so far. So far, I've gone to the island of Santiago, which has the capital city of Praia, and the island of São Vicente, which has the capital city of Mindelo. And it's been a nightmare since I arrived. Now, let me break it down to you how everything went bad since I came here. It's been a nightmare, y'all. So I was in Dakar, Senegal originally. Only spent one night there, layover. Now, to backtrack a little bit, I shouldn't have even spent a night in Dakar. So my original plane was going to fly from Nairobi, go to Dakar, and then from Dakar the same day I was going to be able to fly to Praia, which is the island I first mentioned, right? It's the biggest city in all of the Cape Verde Islands. So several months ago, I got notice that my flight was canceled. The airline that I was going to fly with completely went out of business. So I had to pivot last minute and find a whole nother flight. It actually wasn't so many months ago, I'll say about a month ago. So I had to find a flight last minute, had to book it because there were no other options. I had to fly that day. And well, there were no other options. I couldn't even get another flight that day. There were no more flights after I was supposed to arrive to Dakar. So because of that, the second nearest flight was going to be the next day. So this forced me to leave the airport in Dakar, Senegal. Now, if you guys probably don't know this, Dakar, Senegal, the airport is very far from the actual city. It's probably, with traffic, an hour and a half to get from the airport to the actual city. So this wouldn't be so bad if there were hotels right next to the airport, but there aren't any. There aren't any apartments. There's not many Airbnbs. And this would be a great opportunity for a local person to set something up because I'm sure the land is super cheap. I saw nothing but goats on the way from the airport to where I eventually ended up staying at. And that's not a joke. Like literally there was nothing but goats out there and dry land. So if somebody put up a hotel out there, you would be the only game in town and you would have money from tourists like me every single day who don't want to go all the way to Dakar, but they want to be near the airport for their flight early in the morning or whenever it is, right? Okay, that being said, all of that was canceled, so I was forced to spend one night in Senegal, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I found a place that was about 45 minutes away, not quite as far as the actual city of Dakar, but the nearest beach village to the airport was still about 40-minute drive. So I get to this village and everything was more or less okay. I was able to go to the beach. I was able to have some fresh seafood, some fresh shrimp, and fresh prawns that were really good. So all of that so far was all right. So then I get to the airport. I'm heading to Cape Verde, to Praia, and my flight was delayed by about an hour. So not the end of the world, right? But inconvenient because instead of being able to land when there was still sun, when things were open, when I could get a SIM card, all of that went out the window by like an hour and a half delay. So I finally get over to the island, finally make it into Cape Verde. Now, one thing you want to do before you come is you want to register online. So most Western passports now do not need to get a visa, but you do need to pay a fee, which is about $35. And that can be paid online or it can be paid when you arrive. But if you do it online, when you land, you don't have to really talk to anybody. You just scan your passport, in theory, and then you just move along and enter the country. Now, I've seen this before in Australia where they have that set up, but they still called me aside because of racism, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so you land and you place your passport on this board and it scans it and it's supposed to find your file. Well, the guy who was assisting me, it didn't work on the first machine. We went to the second terminal. That one didn't work either. So I had to go to an actual person, but the fact that I had done it online, they could look it up and they didn't ask me any questions. They just stamped my passport and I was good to go. I was the first one off the plane too. So that was good coming into the country. Couldn't find an ATM when I first landed. So the airport is very small, but like there's no labels on anything. So it's kind of hard to know like, well, where can I get a SIM card? Where's the ATM? There's a really tiny like little snack bar, not even a restaurant, tucked in a corner. So don't expect much. Even though it's an international airport, it's very tiny. It's modern, it looks new, but it's just very, very tiny, right? So it can be a little bit confusing when you first arrive. So that being said, I was able to call my booking because I use booking.com for this place. I had actually made this booking over 3 months before I arrived. So I was expecting everything to be flawless. When I arrived, I had arranged for them to pick me up. So there was supposed to be a taxi driver waiting. He was going to take me to the establishment, to the apartment, and I would be good to go. And I knew it was going to be in the center of town, right? So there's a little bit of confusion. I'm going back and forth with the guy about, are you here? Is someone going to pick me up? Because I thought there would be someone with a sign with my name on it, like what had happened in Senegal the day before. I'm writing the guy and he's like, yeah, he's not holding a sign with your name, but he has the name of the hotel. I said, fine. So I finally find the guy. We get in the car. Something's off about this guy. I'm looking at him. He's got a tattoo on his wrist. I think he had another one on his hand. He's got one on his neck. They say don't judge a book by a cover, but sometimes the cover will tell you some things, right? So we get in the car. Dude's English is trash, but enough where he can kind of communicate, and I speak enough Portuguese where we can figure out what each other wants to say with some difficulty. So we get like 2 minutes outside of the airport, and he says, there was a problem with your booking. There was overbooking. You're going to stay in another place. And I'm like, I was just communicating with whoever the guy is yesterday, and he didn't mention any of this. So now I'm kind of paranoid. I'm like, what is going on? I don't think I'm going to get kidnapped, but anything can happen. So my reflexes and everything are ready. It's adrenaline rushing, but I'm trying to be calm. I'm trying to roll with it, see what happens. He's like, we're going to take you to this alternate spot. It's even better. I'm like, well, where's this alternate spot at? Because I want it to be in the center of town. And this should be mentioned that I arrived on a holiday. So it was a big holiday in the city. And because of that, the roads were blocked. Everything was booked up in the city. So this place he showed me is like 30 minutes walking, no more, like almost an hour walk from where I wanted to be at. And if you know anything about the islands, they're quite spread out unless you're in the center of town. So I wanted specifically to be in the center of town. So I get to where this guy is trying to show me an alternate location. I get to this place and it's actually really nice, but it's the location that's everything, because if I can't walk out the door and do anything, then I'm stuck. So I'm in like some suburban residential area where you have to have a car because there's nothing when you walk out the door. So I'm thinking in my head, this is not going to work. So we get in the building and there's another guy. I don't know if that's the actual owner or what the arrangement is, but either way, I don't like what's going on. So I'm just really silent. I tell him, we left my luggage in the car. I didn't even take it out until I knew 100% what I was getting into, if I was going to accept the place or not. So I get on, my phone. I'm scrambling last minute. It's already getting dark. I'm in a really horrible situation. It's a holiday. I'm in a place I don't know. I don't even know who this guy really is. Is this the guy I was talking to or not? He barely speaks English. Everything is bad right now. And I'm carrying a lot of luggage too, right? So I try to book another place on Booking. This one is nice. It's in the right area. Price is okay. I take it, right? So then I call just to confirm that it's there before I try to go there instead of staying where I'm at. So I call him up. I'm like, what's good? Like, I'm trying to come over to your place now. I just booked it. Maybe you didn't receive it. And he's like, oh, it's not available. And I'm like, bro, I just booked it on the site. Why didn't you block it if it's not available? I don't know if this is an issue always in Praia, in Cape Verde, but just because you have a reservation booked, do not think that it's a done deal, it's 100%. Now, if you're staying in a big chain hotel, yeah, I would assume they're going to be professional. But if you're staying in any type of an apartment situation, anything where you're dealing with locals, anything can happen, right? All bets are off. So now I'm 0 for 2. I already tried 2 places and nobody is providing me with something that I can use. I'm stuck. I need to find a place ASAP. So then I'm like, all right, 3rd try. So again, I book a place, and this time I call up, and it's a woman, and she sounds really sweet, and she's like, yeah, you can come right now. And I was like, oh, finally, thank God. So I go to the guy, the shady guy, and he agrees he's gonna take me over there. He said, like, no charge. You're just gonna pay for the airport ride, right? So we get there, everything is cool. I'm like, I can finally relax. So I get situated, put all my stuff up, right? So then in the morning, I had a flight to the other island, which is São Vicente, and Mindelo is the capital, right? So I'd already got an email that they had changed one of my times for the flight. And I was like, all right, it didn't seem too major. But then I get to the airport, and they changed my flight leaving from Praia to go to Mindelo. And they said it was canceled, right? Completely canceled. And so the airport it's just chaos. It's hot. I'm talking about like 90 plus degrees. Air condition isn't on, or if it's on, it might as well not be on. We're talking about a tiny, tiny airport, and you've got hundreds of people inside of it. Everybody's frustrated. Nobody knows what's going on. People are telling us different things. It's a nightmare situation. Is not what you want, right? So I have no sleep. I didn't even get to eat like I wanted to. And then I get hit by this curveball. And I arrived to the airport 2 hours early just to make sure that I would get on the plane, in case they overbooked the plane or did something crazy too. So now, not only do I have 2 hours in this hot, busy, crowded airport, you got to tack on another who knows, right? So what ended up happening was they went back and forth. They said it was canceled, then delayed, then not canceled. And so we're just sitting there waiting. Nobody knows what's going on. And we're just sweating bullets inside of this nasty, congested airport. So all that being said, I had someone who was coming to the airport to pick me up over here in Mindelo. And I had to tell them, like, look, I can't even tell you what time I'm coming now because I don't even know if I'm coming today. I didn't know if they were going to put us in a hotel or what. So all of that to say, man, you just never know, especially in some of the smaller countries and Africa in general. I hate to say it about Africa, but it's just a whole lot of unpredictability versus other places like Asia versus Latin America and obviously Europe, right? So finally, after waiting, they checked us in. They checked my bag. We went through security, and we're waiting in, right before you board the plane. We waited 3 freaking hours. 3 more hours. So in total, I spent the entire day in the freaking airport. This is the side of travel that nobody really talks about, the unglamorous stuff. Like, you'll see the IG pictures, people on a cruise or whatever. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like I said, especially in the type of places that I travel to. So it's just not always glamorous, man. You really go through it. I didn't know if I was even going to sleep here. I'm in Mindelo. It was a ride, and I need some sleep, guys. If y'all can't tell, Thanks for watching. Go ahead, like the video. Until next time, this was your guy, Jay Focus, reminding you to stay focused.
Such thing as a life that's better than your
Focus, man.